Hey, this is the old gaming geezer. Welcome along to episode 17 of the Indeterminate Stuff. And what you just saw there was the first part of my Minmus base detaching from the transfer stage. And I need to bring this down to Minmus, and because I have a contract to create a base on Minmus, and I've got specific amount of spaces for Kerbals and specific equipment I have to have on it. Now, I launched the entire base in one go, but I need to land it in two goes. And so this is my second part of my base. Sorry, this is the first part of the base which I've just attached, and it is going to come down and land on the surface of Minmus. Now, what I wish to do is land it on a Kethane deposit, because later on I'm going to bring up another part. Its base is modular. Another part and join it on, and that other part is going to be a Kethane refinery. So here's a quick look inside. Now, we're actually quite close to our rover that we had up here in the Wild Rover episode, if you remember. We're about 20 kilometers away from where we're going to land. There's our Kethane deposit there, where we're coming in. And so we're coming in over this ridge and into that valley there you can see on the right. That's where we're going to be landing. And any second now, I'm going to start to slow down. Here we go. Camera just flipped. We are officially not in orbit anymore. So now we're coming down to the minty green surface of Minmus. Trying to slow down. There we go. I'm trying to get down into the bottom of that depression, the valley there, because I'm the ground looks pretty flat, so I'm pretty happy with the way things are going at the moment. So we're slowly easing this ship down to the surface, because I don't want to have any little problems. We can see our shadow there below. The lights of the lander lighting up the surface below us give us an indication of how high we are. I always get a shock when the shadow disappears. Have you ever noticed the shadow disappears when you're about 500 meters up, and then it reappears again? That always scares me, or 400 or 500 meters up. So we're coming down now, very slowly, trying to get this down. I am actually coming a little bit fast, even though I'm playing this at double speed, playing the video at double speed. I came down a little bit fast and had a little bit of a wobble, but managed to correct. Now, I have a slight problem with my landing legs and my landing wheels. The landing legs and landing wheels are both bound to action groups, different action groups, so I can deploy them separately. But for some reason, the landing legs action group, while I tested on Kerbin, here it only works on one of the legs. So I have to do all the other legs manually, whereas the landing wheels work fine. And the reason why it has wheels is so I can move it around and dock it easily with another part, with the other part which will be in orbit. Now, I've deployed my solar panels, so I've got power, and I'm thinking, I think I should bring it down to the bottom of the valley there. But now I've just quick saved just after I landed, so everything that happens from now on in could technically be a simulation, but I'm quietly confident that it's the real thing. Maybe it's the real thing. So we're moving down, and this thing doesn't actually operate that well on the surface of Minmus in rolling mode, so maybe we should stop. Uh-oh, maybe we shouldn't stop quite so fast. And we fall over. Oh. Well, as I said, this is a simulation. It's a simulation, yes. This is what would have happened if we had rolled forward and then hit our brakes too fast. This is what would have happened. So, end simulation. And there, we're fine. Now, the other piece of the station, the other piece of the base I need to bring down as well. So this is coming down now. And I've still got the transfer stage that brought us out from Kerbal attached to this, because I'm going to use the very last amount of fuel on this to slow us down just above the other base. I probably don't need to do this, but it'll also allow me to destroy the transfer stage by allowing it to crash into the surface of Minmus and leave a minty, ice creamy crater behind it. Well, I won't leave a crater, because the game doesn't do craters like that, unfortunately. So we just came over the ridge. There's the base in front of us. We're a couple of kilometers out, and we're going to start our burn. There we go, burning off the last of that fuel. It's only going to last a couple of seconds. And there it goes. So we detach. Blasted away with our own little poodle engine on the back of this thing. And now we're going to come down and land. I'm going to try and land fairly close, but I don't want to land too close in case I have any problems. So again, very simply, coming down slowly. It's a standard, very standard Minmus landing, very slow, very steady. There's a transfer stage bed to hit the surface, and boom, there it goes. Okay, so the rest of our second part of our base is coming down, very slowly, very carefully. I need to get this onto the surface with the minimum of fuss. Lights brightening up the surface. God, brightening up. Just so bright I had to turn off the lights because I just couldn't really see very well. I think I've got extra lights on this one. So we're coming down, again, very, very slowly. This landing turned out to be a little bit better because I was much more careful after I ran that simulation before and I saw how easily things can go wrong. And so we take them down really gently, touch down on the surface of Minmus. Beautiful. Beautiful. And so to get these two together, we need to roll them together. Now, they're both slightly different weights, and because of the very low gravity on Minmus, they're a little bit unwieldy, and I'm having a lot of difficulty getting the docking ports to actually mate. I have to be very careful in moving them around, and at this point I get kind of stuck because they're not lined up, but the magnetism is still pulling them together, so I can't actually pull away and realign them because the magnetic force on the docking ports is just sucking me right in. So I gotta, wiggle them around, do a little shimmy shammy with the landing gear, and try to get everything working. Eventually, I managed to split them apart. I seem to recall. There's me trying to split these things apart. There, we've split it apart a little bit. Now I managed to finally get them split apart, but the gravity, there we go, and I managed to get them away. The magnetism was pulling me back, but I got them away again. And so now I'm going to try and line them up properly, very slowly. I'm looking at this design now in hindsight and thinking, this is probably not the best design for a Minmus base. But you know what? It's working so far. I think I probably need to next time I do something like this, I'm going to give it a lower center of gravity, a wider wheelbase, lower center of gravity. And instead of using the aircraft landing wheels, I think I'm going to use regular rover wheels. And then I can... there we go, we've docked. And then I'll use the landing legs to raise them up, raise the landing wheels, sorry, the rover wheels off the ground. Instead of using the aircraft legs, because the aircraft legs didn't really work that well. So here we are, the Moonbase Alfalfa is there. So I am just checking the final little things that I need to do to achieve this particular thing. I need to basically turn off everything and wait for 10 seconds like you regularly do. And there we go, we've got the contract. We have got bucket loads of cash. We're happy. The guys back at the KSC are happy. We've got ourselves a Minmus base. Excellent. So now we have to get back to our Jool mission. If you recall from the last episode, we put a large ship in orbit around Kerbin preparing to go to Jool. And what you're seeing here is the fuel ship that's going up to refuel that. Now, I've added a couple of mods to my game, and you're going to see the first of those mods now in the next couple of seconds. They're not parts mods or anything like that. They're just little tweaks to the visuals in the game. The first one, as you can see coming in now, is clouds on Kerbal. It's the visual enhancement mod, and that adds clouds to... I think it adds clouds to most of the planet, to all the planets with an atmosphere. I could be wrong there. I'm not sure. But I think it looks really good. It looks really, really, really nice. So this ship that I'm flying here has got two Rocket Max fuel tanks on it. And as you can see, it wibbles and wobbles like a wibbly wobbly thing. Originally I was going to bring up one at a time. I need to bring up 4. But I've been doing, you may have seen, I've been doing a multiplayer game with that tiny dude and Mono Dokimes. I always get his name wrong. And I saw them building these huge launchers, and I thought, well, why the hell aren't I doing that? So I built this huge launcher to bring up two of these tanks. Now, I actually could have built it a bigger and brought up all 4 in one, but I was pretty pleased with this ship. And there's me setting up my maneuver node to get into orbit. And here we are flying into orbit. We're about to drop our launch stage now. It has parachutes on it, so hopefully we'll be able to get it back. Well, actually, we don't get it back, I remember from playing It actually gets destroyed on landing. So there we are. We got our fuel ship in orbit, and now we got to do a little orbital shenanigans to get all my little things together so I can get the fuel onto my Jool ship. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. And so what I need to do with this ship is I need to get it to rendezvous with my small orbital RCS tug that we've seen before in another episode. I think I used it to give extra fuel to my Elu ship, maybe? I can't remember. And so I try and rendezvous with it, and I overshot, as you see there, because I kind of underestimated the weight of the amount of fuel that this fuel tanker is carrying. I've decided to call this fuel tanker the Big Juicer. It seemed like a good name for it, because it's bringing juice to my juicy ships. Ooh, yeah. Oh god. So the Big Juicer, anyway, eventually we get close enough to the RCS tug, just as night falls, so the sun goes down. But this is a perfect opportunity to show off the new mod that I have installed. It's called Ambient Light Enhancement, and so you are not seeing this completely black as I normally do when I dock at night, because I tend to dock at night a lot. Not by plan, it's not planned, I assure you. So this ambient light enhancement, it just turns up, it allows you to tweak the ambient light on the ship, in the game, and so it's just not black the whole time when you're on the far side of the planet. So I've just turned it up a little bit, and because obviously I don't want it really bright, and you can make it really bright, but I just turned it up a little bit, just so I can see it, because I need it to be dark, because you're on the dark side of a planet, there's no light sources, everything's going to be dark, but at the same time I need to be able to see, so I've just turned it up a little bit. And so here is my RCS tug coming into dock. I'm going to stick it on the side there of one of those fuel tanks. Coming in very, very slowly, because the RCS fuel tug is actually very, very sensitive. And we dock just as sun rises. Awesome. So here we are. Now we've got to rendezvous this with the large Jool ship. Filling it up there with RCS fuel. Oh, it wasn't as low on RCS fuel as I thought. And so this is our big Jool ship, if you recall from last time, and now we are bringing this into rendezvous now with the fuel tanker. Now this ship is very large and it's very unwieldy, and it wobbles quite alarmingly. And at this point, as I'm doing these maneuvers to rendezvous this ship with the fuel tanker, I kind of beginning to suspect that maybe this is not the best design for the job. It turns very, very slowly. It wobbles every time I turn, and I don't know. I think I'm very worried about it. Shall we say? Very, very worried about it. But we slowly get it in, and we're trying to kill our relative velocity now with the fuel tanker. I really kind of did this wrong. This ship was actually in an inclined orbit, and I maneuvered it to rendezvous with the fuel tanker, whereas what I probably should have done is circularize the orbit of this ship and brought the fuel tanker to it. And after I fueled it up this time, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to circularize its orbit and allow the next fuel tanker to come and rendezvous with it instead of the other way around. So I had to switch back to the fuel tanker and get that to actually do the final approach, because the large Jool ship, which I've decided to call Highway to Heck, I just want to point that out, the Highway to Heck is just too unwieldy to move around. So the fuel tanker, which weighs a fuck ton, is much more agile. So I decided to use that to get closer to get us within 100 meters, of each other. So here we are now. We're getting closer and closer with the fuel tanker, and being careful to go very slowly at this point as we get closer, because they do not want to collide with the Highway to Heck, because it's it was a very hard thing to get up there. So now we are going to detach this fuel tank, and I'm trying to decide where I'm going to control from here. But yeah, I'm going to control from the probe core initially. So we're controlling from the probe core, and we are going to detach from the main ship using that decoupler there. So now we've taken off this fuel tank, and now we're going to slowly bring it in and dock it onto one of those docking ports on the side of the drive section of the highway to heck. Now, this is going to be difficult because this is also very unwieldy. But the small, the orbital tug, which is designed for this sort of thing, used on the end of the booms are those. There's the linear linear RCS thrusters. They only thrust to one direction, but on each of those there are 3 of them pointing in different directions. So, 3 of them. There's 4 of them. Sorry, there's one pointing forwards, one pointing backwards, one pointing up, and one pointing down. So I have a huge range of movement in this thing. I actually based this design off the Star Fury from that old 1990s TV series Babylon 5. The Star Fury was a fighter spaceship. I think I discussed this the last time I used this tug. And so this is based on that design because it really worked well in a space environment. Because, you know, they didn't use the same kind of flight model that, for example, Star Wars used, where the spaceships move through space like they're airplanes moving through an atmosphere. Totally unrealistically. Looked amazingly cool, but totally unrealistic. Whereas the TV show Babylon 5, they tried to go for a more realistic approach to space travel in a science fiction setting with weird gravity drives and hyperspace portals and what have you. But anyway, so I'm getting this thing in, and this is a very long, slow, and tedious process. I don't know if you can see this in the video, but my the node showing my target node on my nav ball is actually incorrect. It's for some reason, even though I'm lined up with when I line up with the docking port, the target node on my nav ball is not lined up. So the way that I normally dock, which is to line up, to orient my ship to the ship I'm trying to dock with, and then line up the target node, the prograde node, and the pointing node, which is the one that stays in the center the whole time, together. And you see, there we go. So I'm all lined up, but look at that. My docking ports are absolutely, under no circumstances, lined up. So I've got to actually now eyeball this. So I'm checking around and seeing, can I fix this by controlling from a different port? But it doesn't work. So I just have to do it by eye. And I slowly get it in there and slowly get to dock these things together. And it's successful. A successful dock eventually. There we go. Their magnetism is taking over and sucking us in. I turn off all of my RCS and my SAS, and we're docked. Perfect. Okay, so 1 fuel tank dropped off. 3 more to go. And so we need to get the next one. Just going to go through this real quick. Just the exact same problems I had with this, where my target reticle was in the wrong place. But I brought it over anyway. I had little or no trouble. Once I knew that the problem existed, I knew that I could work around the problem. And there's, I'm bringing it around. I have to bring the whole thing around to the other side of the ship, passing it by. I'm going to be bringing up 2 more of these later, as I said. So I'll be doing this. I'll probably do that off camera. So the second one is now coming into dock with the drive section of the highway to heck. Again, I'm bringing in very carefully, watching my target reticle. You can see the target reticle's lining up. It's just totally wrong. I don't know what that is. I'll have to maybe ask a question. But we're done. We're done. Mission success. We have a solar eclipse in the background, and it's time to go home. And you see, this ship, the launcher, is designed to be brought home. The whole thing was supposed to be reusable, but the main center stack of the launcher was, it crashed when it came back, as I said. So we're coming in now over the mountains, towards the KSC. I was trying to land this back at KSC, but I undershot a little bit, and we're going to land in the mountains, so I figure I've got a little bit of fuel left. So I figure I should burn to get over the mountains, because I do not want this to crash into the mountains. So we're burning upwards to give us a little bit of lift to get us over the mountains. This big juicer ship has got a whole bunch of parachutes on it, so I'm pretty confident that I can get it down onto the ground. I didn't test, so I may not have enough parachutes on it, but, you know, I might. I'm quietly confident that I do. So I've run out of fuel. Oh, no, I haven't run out of fuel. I'm low on fuel. Right, so we're over the mountains. I just want to get a little push to get us a little bit further because we're falling down. I'm afraid we're going to fall into the highlands around the mountains, to the sloped ground. So now we have, I think we've run out of fuel. Yeah, we've now run out of fuel, so I'm trying to slow us down with RCS, turning us around. I'm kind of losing control a little bit here. And deploy the chutes, slowing us down. I think we're going to land on the flat ground. We've come over the mountains. We're going to be safe. Look at those clouds. Awesome. I'm just waiting for the chutes to deploy, and we're deployed, and we're going slow enough to land safely. I think that was a pretty good design, and I'm going to be using it again. I probably won't show that on the video because it was quite a long, drawn-out process to dock those things together, but it worked. So I will do the next bit off camera. This is the Old Gaming Geezer signing off. If you like this video, please hit like below. If you really like this video, please subscribe. Good night, farewell, adieu as we fall over, but nothing breaks on the rocket. That's good, that's good. Bye-bye.